Whoa, whoa. Sorry. I was just enjoying rolling my butt there for a moment, guys. So we're going to pick up where we left off last time. All right, so last time we talked about rolling through the hip, but doing it standing. So remember, when you're doing it standing, you have a lot more control. You can control the depth, and but you just can't quite get it as aggressive, right? So the glute is the thickest area of the body, period. All right, so sometimes you got to get down on the ground, you got to get more aggressive, right? So what we're going to do now is we're going to go through and we're going to show you the different tools that we use so that way we can actually get through the whole glute and kind of, show you very specifically how to do it. So what I usually start with is I usually start with the foam roller, the flat one, okay? Now remember, with the flat one, you're not going to get that much depth, and that's not a bad thing right now, okay? So kind of going through the anatomy again of the hip that we want to focus on. We want to focus on the quad, right, with the rectus femoris. With the foam roller, you're not going to hit your psoas, so don't worry about that right now. We're going to hit the TFL, which is the tensor fasciae lata, and then we're going to hit the rest of the gluteal musculature, so glute max, glute med min, all those other intrinsic muscles that are deep in the glute, piriformis. We're going to be able to hit that with this, okay? So to do that, we're going to start with the front. Remember, rectus femoris comes right off the hip bone, all right? So you find that hip bone, you're going to go just below that, all right? Get just below that and just kind of roll through it and go for it, okay? Then from here, you're gonna go outside. Oh, I'm gonna fall. Yep, that just almost happened. So from here, you're gonna go back through here, okay? Now, remember, TFL goes from about here to here, all right? With the foam roller, you're not gonna get a whole lot of depth. You may get a third of the way through that unless like you are the skinniest person on earth, and that's okay. We'll show you how to get that more effectively in a second. But it's important when you do this to start to get through that, and then this is a good segue. When we get into the thigh, we're going to talk about the IT band. So when you're doing this, you can kind of roll down, and you can start to feel that transition point where the tensor fasciae lata, or TFL, transitions into the IT band. So when you're doing this, kind of at the bottom of it, man, start to feel that little segue where that transition point is, because we're going to get into that when we start getting into the thigh. All right, from here, what you really want to focus on is right on this hip bone right here. Now, this is an important spot because you don't realize how many muscles attach right in this area, all right? And it gets super sensitive. So you want to make sure you hit this bone. You also want to make sure you go down just a little bit further because that's right where the glute max attaches. So as many people get here, they don't ever get to the attachment site of the glute max. So make sure you go all the way down there, all right? So I'm actually going to start at that attachment of the glute max, kind of work through here. And then from here, I'm going to get in that bone, and I'm really going to just, man, I'll tell you what, you'll be shocked how sensitive that sucker is, okay? Because there's so many muscles that attach there. If you want to go Google it and look at the muscles in the deep glute, like you will see there's a lot of muscles that attach on that sucker. It gets super sensitive, okay? Now, when you're here, another thing that you can do is you kind of roll back into the glute, and now you're going to get into the meat of the glute, all right? So again, with the foam roller, you're not going to get that much depth, okay? So you can kind of roll through it. You're like, honestly, you may not feel a whole heck of a lot at all. Sometimes to increase the depth, you just take your ankle, put it on the opposite knee, and kind of roll through here. Now I'm pushing and pulling with my heel. I'm holding myself up with my arm, and I'm just kind of going through. You may do this and be like, dude, I don't feel anything. And I get it. And that's when it's time to pull out the next tool, all right? So from here, I'm going to start with this lacrosse ball, all right? Now, with this one, I'm going to first start with the psoas, all right? So remember, to find it, bend your knee like this. That crease that's right here, that's right where you want to go, okay? So find the crease, put the ball there, and then, you know what, man? It's time to get inappropriate. Please don't judge. When you do this, you lie down and you just go north-south, east-west, a little circular, kind of in there. Man, if your spouse walks in on you, just say, baby, please don't judge me. I'm just working my psoas. And hopefully they understand, all right? So you kind of get in there like that, okay? Now that's the psoas. Now, one incredibly important disclaimer, all right? If when you're working the psoas, you feel a pulse where you're working on, get the heck off of it immediately. Okay, that's your femoral artery. You do not want to be compressing that whatsoever. So be very, very, did I mention very aware when you're rolling through that area? If you feel a pulse, get the heck off of it right away. Okay, now from here, we're going to start doing the rectus femoris. Okay, Hip bone, just below. You get in there, so put the ball on the hip bone, go just under it, lay down, north, south, east, west, kind of work through it, okay? As we come more lateral, we're gonna get into that tensor fascia lata, okay? And that TFL. Again, as we're working through this, with the lacrosse ball, you're probably gonna be able to get through about 2/3 of the depth, unless you're really skinny mini and you get the full thing. But again, make sure you go down so you start to feel that transition spot where that TFL actually transitions into the IT band. So we're gonna go here, right? Rectus, get out here, and this fun stuff right there. Notice how I'm kind of tilting myself basically at a 30-degree angle to really get into that spot effectively, okay? And we kind of go like that, all right? So you guys can see how we do that. Now from here, we are gonna get right back into this area right here. Glute max attachment, all these muscles are attached through here, and we just start rolling through that, okay? So, you know, when I was jamming to my tunes, this is what I was doing. I was rocking out with my lacrosse ball, and I was just kind of getting in there. Tell you what, I do a lot better with music because I got rhythm, you know? I mean, you know, I got pretty decent rhythm for a white guy. I'm just gonna say, man, I'm gonna throw it out there, you know? You can be the judge. Come to the office, I'll show you. But you just kind of work through it, okay? Now, as you're doing this, remember the triangle, okay? Triangle goes from this bone up to the top of the hip bone, to your tailbone, and all the way back, all right? That's the glute triangle you gotta get after, all right? Make sure you're working through that, all right? Now, at some point, the cross ball, it's not gonna get it done. I mean, look at this. You see that ball? See my glute? No way that's getting through my whole glute. So, you're gonna have to transition to a softball, all right? Now, see the difference in depth. Like that gets through a lot of my glute, right? It gives you a better chance of getting through the full depth of the tissue. Now, you do not wanna use this on the psoas. Bad idea, just don't do it. You can use it on the rectus. The TFL, you know, sometimes depending on the person, this is so big, like in that crevice, it just won't allow you to get in there. So lacrosse ball is still probably the best tool to get into the TFL. When you do that, make sure you transition. You want to feel that all the way down into the IT band. We're going to talk about that again when we get into the thigh. Then from here on the attachment site here in the glute, again, this is where you need to use your legs and your arms to support yourself up like that and control how much depth you put on there, okay? It's a big deal because trust me, this is unforgiving now, all right? And you want to work through that triangle and you want to do it safely, all right? Should hurt good. No earmuffs, no inappropriate thoughts, words, anything like that. Control, all right? Pain does not equal progress. So, pop quiz. How long do we do this for every area, right? 1 to 2 minutes. How many times can we do it per day? 3 to 4, right? Everything stays in the zone of tolerance. What happens if we get to the point where like things are kind of bruisey sore, where I touch it and it feels kind of bruised? We gotta take a break, right? We gotta ice it down, we gotta calm it down, we gotta let that tissue recover. It may take you a day, it may take you 3. Everybody heals at a different rate, right? But it's important, that's why you always wanna stay in that zone of tolerance. You want it to hurt good. You don't wanna overdo it because you wanna continue to progress and you wanna continue to be able to do the activities that you want, right? It's all about maintaining things the right way. So, some other things that I like to do for the glute is using the Rolga. All right, so this is gonna kind of tie into the thighs because I do like the Rolga. These right here, if you put these directly on your sitting bones, you're actually gonna get directly into the hamstring attachments, but if you roll up into the tailbone, oh my man, I'll tell you what, it gets into those ligaments along the tailbone really, really well. And the muscles in the glute attach in that tailbone, and so it really allows you to free that up. So again, how you do this, I put my sitting bones directly on those middle 2 rolls, okay, those middle 2 lumps, and then from there, like I can go this way to get in the hamstring, but if I go up, I'm getting right into the tailbone, and that, like, trust me, that feels good. Like, you do not realize how sensitive that can be, and you kind of roll this into here, okay? Now, another little trick with the Rolga that I kind of stumbled on is if I'm here and I just kind of roll over to the side, man, look at this Rolga. That's a little bit bigger than a softball, but it sure is rounded, isn't it? So now I can use that rounded end to really get into that glute. So if I'm going here and I just kind of roll out this way, man, I can get it good. I mean, I really can. I mean, it just allows me to get all that stuff. Now, I'll be honest, it's not nearly as good as a softball. So it's kind of an intermediate one where if you're not getting good enough with the lacrosse ball, you need something a little bigger, but not quite as hard as a softball. That's the go-between, and it works really, really good, okay? So just like that, kind of rocking through, I can get through all that glute area with the roll gun, okay? So, hey, man, I'll tell you what. I'm going to get back to my tunes. I'm going to get back to rocking and rolling. And, when it's time, I hope you enjoy rocking and rolling your butt as much as I do. So, I'll tell you what. I'll see you next time, guys. Have fun. Enjoy rolling the butt. Baby, I'm going to get with ya. My butt you got, baby, me so.